Alright, welcome back, and here is part 2 of the NRA. Yep, they are fighting back. Good thing somebody is. Well, right about now they have a clip of David Goodfriend, former Department Staff Secretary to President Clinton. Well, we already know everybody that worked for President Clinton was crooked, so let's listen to his corny behind words. And it's funny to hear that he says he's afraid. Ooh, afraid of the NRA. He's scared of the NRA. Honestly, if I was you and the people that I worked for before, oh yes sir, I would be scared. Well, let's just roll the clip and enjoy.
We don't believe that bans have ever worked on anything. What we've said has been very clear, that if something transfers a semi-automatic to function like fully automatic, then it ought to be regulated differently.
The NRA is showing support for regulation of bump stocks, the attachment used by the Las Vegas gunman which enabled him to fire his weapons faster. But the gun rights group says it's not okay with an outright ban. For more on the renewed gun debate, Lisa Booth, contributor for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor. Also here, David Goodfriend, former Hillary for America surrogate and former Deputy Staff Secretary to President Bill Clinton. Thanks to both of you for being here. David, you just heard that from the NRA. Essentially, bans don't work. You are hearing some agreement from Democrats on that. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think the NRA is doing something that what us old Washington hands know as a containment strategy. They know that there's a lot of pressure to do something. What they've done is chosen something that really could be done at an administrative level by the ATF without an act of Congress, because I believe they think they can get that done. And they're worried about this moving to Congress because they have less control over that. Things could get bigger and bigger, and they don't like that. So that's a tactic that they're using. But I think in your case, when you ask, has a ban ever worked? I'll give you just 3 examples, because they have. The state of Connecticut introduced a much stricter law on assault weapons. The state of Missouri did just the opposite and loosened it. And deaths by guns increased in Missouri and decreased in Connecticut. Australia, when they had a shooting just like we had, changed their laws completely, and that actually worked.
We have to ask whether this is causation or correlation. It's just important to point out that there are many examples that would prove otherwise. When you look at gun laws and regulations in the city of Chicago, and it has the highest rate of gun violence in this country, there can be a lot of examples on the other side of that. But even Dianne Feinstein, Lisa Booth, when asked over the weekend, was there anything, any law, any ban that could have prevented this from happening last Sunday night? Even she said this.
Could there have been any law passed that would have stopped him?
No, he passed background checks registering for handguns and other weapons on multiple occasions.
Quite an admission on her part, Lisa.
Right, Sandra, and more often than not, we do see with these killers that they don't have a history of mental illness. They don't have a criminal history as well. So a background check, even universal background checks that many Democrats call for, wouldn't have prevented someone like this from getting a gun. And I think that's where the complexity lies with this issue, is because a lot of people want to take a step back and say, why do we want to arbitrarily pass legislation that simply isn't going to stop some of these shootings? And I would encourage people to look at a column or an opinion column in the Washington Post by someone who used to work for 538, and she said she combed through the 33,000 gun deaths hoping to find that some sort of sweeping legislation would stop this. And what she found is 2/3 of the deaths were suicide related. 1 in 5 had to do with 15 to 34-year-olds basically killing each other. Those deaths were at the hands of one another. And then the last big group were domestic violence cases. So the problem is there's a lot of differences here in the cause of some of these gun deaths in the country. Right. And so passing something sweeping isn't going to stop it.
I'm sorry, if I just jump in on something Lisa said. She's right. Some gun deaths cannot be prevented. This is very similar to the debate over airbags and seatbelts from decades ago, where the argument against putting them in cars was, well, you're not going to save everybody. And that, of course, is true. But just because there's a car accident where the car explodes and the airbag wouldn't have saved anybody,
what would you have done to stop this shooting?
Excuse me. Doesn't mean that all airbags are failures. It really does. When you take that aggregate and you look at our country, which has the highest number of gun deaths per capita in the world.
So, David, let me ask you the question that was asked of Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Is there any anything that could have been in the books to prevent this mass shooting from happening?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with the good senator from California. If we had an outright ban on assault weapons, you could not own them. It was illegal without a license. Yes, that man owns several,
let me tell you what the
about a
NRA is
dozen
saying
assault
about that.
weapons.
Let me tell you what the NRA is saying about
I
that.
don't like the NRA. I don't trust the NRA. I don't agree with the NRA. I think they're crazy. But that's all right.
How about the ATF? They're pointing fingers at the ATF and saying the ATF needs to do their job. Over the weekend, he said it's illegal to convert a semi-automatic to a fully automatic.
Right.
ATF needs to do its job.
But that's a tactic saying we want to keep this out
No,
of
but
Congress
it's
because we're
bigger
afraid
than
of legislation.
No, but it's bigger than guns like AR-15. You can look at studies that show that the bulk of these shootings happen at the hands of handguns. What happened in Virginia Tech? A guy took 2 handguns, killed something like 32 people. I'm from Virginia. I had friends that went to the school of Virginia Tech at the time. Here, and Sandra, the problem too, this isn't a right versus left issue as well. Josh Kraushaar at the National Journal has a great column about why this has been such a problem for Democrats, and it's the fact that their party is very split over this issue as well. The 6 Democrats running in rural states for re-election have been silent on this issue. The caucus who's challenging Dean Howard in Nevada, silent.
Lisa, here's the
Last word to you.
The fact is Republicans are in control and they own it now. Let's see what they can do. I hope they can do something.
All right, David, Lisa, thank you.
Alright, I love you watching me, and thanks for tuning in. Okay, we're gonna roll on out of here, and as we usually say, love, peace, and hair grease. See you later.